Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Battle Through the Heavens Part 250 based on novel. So let's start. Incinerating one's soul? Xiao Yan, you are crazy. That huge face suddenly revealed a great shock after seeing the strange flame rising from Xiao Yan's body. His sharp voice cried out, incinerating one's soul. You are going to completely vanish from this world. Incinerating one's soul? Xiao Yang's body trembled violently as he stood below. His expression immediately changed drastically. Being an alchemist, he naturally understood why a soul would ignite. This was a method similar to the self-destruction of one's body, which made it possible to unleash an extremely great strength for a temporary period of time. However, the price of it was one's life. This soul ignition was similar. It burns one's soul in order to obtain a sudden increase in strength. The price of it was one's soul would completely be destroyed. Ancestor? Xiao Yang's body shook slightly. His eyes involuntarily turned slightly red. Xiao Yan did not mention that he would ignite his own soul. My mission has been completed. It is unimportant whether I live or die. Xiao Yan merely smiled in the face of the somewhat frightened heavenly tomb soul. After which, he ceased speaking. He lifted his hand, which contained a flame, and grabbed towards the latter from a distance. Immediately, a terrifying suction force was formed on his palm. It was possible to see an intense fluctuation suddenly being formed on the huge mouth of the heavenly tomb soul. It was as though there was something being forcefully dragged out. Do you drag me with you if you wish to die? The heavenly tomb soul roared furiously. The entire heavenly tomb had trembled under its roar. Its huge mouth was widened and an invisible spiritual spear, which was thousands of feet in size, suddenly shot out. It tore through the space and ruthless shot towards Xiao Yan. I have ignited my soul as a price. You are unable to stop me. Xiao Yan appeared extremely calm in the face of the retaliation of the heavenly tomb. He smiled slightly and directly extended his hand. After which, he clenched it gently. A sharp sonic wave erupted. The spiritual spear came to a sudden halt. Finally, it turned around with a wave of Xiao Yan's sleeve. Instead, it shot back towards the heavenly tomb soul in an even more ferocious manner. There was even some strange clusters of flame on the spear. It was the flame from the incineration of a soul. The speed at which the spear shot backwards was extremely quick. Within an instant, it had directly turned into a fire glow that penetrated through the huge face. Immediately, the flame contained on the spear seemed to have met some dried wood. It spread at lightning speed with a boom. The spreading flame caused a miserable screech to be emitted from the heavenly tomb soul. If it was an ordinary fight, the heavenly tomb soul might be slightly cautious of Xiao Yan, but it would not be terrified of him. However, the latter had incinerated his own soul the moment they started fighting. Naturally, his strength had soared. Even the heavenly tomb soul had a great difficulty fighting Xiao Yan. Moreover, the flame from the incineration of one soul had an extremely lethal effect on a spiritual body like the heavenly tomb soul. The huge spiritual face in the sky was covered by a flame. Finally, the large face shrunk rapidly. At the same time, waves after waves of uncontrolled spiritual assault continuously erupted from within his body, causing the entire place to be turned upside down. All the energy bodies were frightened to the point of fleeing far from this region. They were afraid that they would be completely destroyed if they got caught in the fight. The purifying demonic lotus flame burned around Xiao Yang's body. Although the spiritual assault was extremely strong, it was still possible for Xiao Yang to resist it with his strength. Hence, he did not step back. His eyes were tightly focused on the battle in the sky. Xiao Yan's current spiritual strength had already reached quite a terrifying level. Regardless of how Xiao Yang probed, it was impossible for him to detect a limit. Clearly, the incineration of his soul had allowed Xiao Yan to enter an undefeatable state. However, Xiao Yang involuntarily clenched his hand tightly the moment he thought of how this condition would require Xiao Yan to pay his soul as a price. The current Xiao Yan might only be a soul fragment, but he was at least still surviving. After this battle, however, his soul would completely vanish from this world after it was completely ignited. Xiao Xian, I will not let you off. The huge face shrunk within the flame. A moment later, it actually turned into a human form. Scarlet eyes stared intently at Xiao Xian as a murderous desire surged. Xiao Xian completely ignored the roar of the heavenly tomb soul. Both of his hands were placed together. They swiftly formed many complicated seals. With the formation of the seals, many firelight suddenly shot out from his fingers. Finally, they swiftly entwined together in the sky and turned into a huge formation. At the middle of the formation was the heavenly tomb soul. Before the heavenly tomb soul could react to the created formation, rays of flames began to fall from all directions within the formation. After which, he heard some sizzling sound. Countless rays of flames penetrated through the body of the heavenly tomb soul and hung it within the formation. Bang bang! The heavenly tomb soul struggled wildly in the face of this entanglement. Waves after waves of spiritual fluctuation, which caused even Xiao Yang's expression to change, continuously smashed onto those rays of flames which entangled around him like a cannonball. However, those seemingly weak rays of flames seemed to have a great restraining effect on spiritual strength. Regardless of how powerful the spiritual attack was, it would swiftly pale upon contact with the rays of flame. You must be really underestimating Xiao Xian if you think I am unable to finish you off in this state. Xiao Xian glanced at the wildly struggling heavenly tomb soul. He smiled faintly. His voice was not loud, but it had a domineering ripple. Even though the ultimate expert from back then was currently a soul fragment, he still possessed a dominating aura. Xiao Xian, let me off. We can discuss whatever you want. The tone of the heavenly tomb soul had been softened greatly after struggling futilely for a long while. It understood that Xiao Xian was far stronger than it in his current state. However, if it could delay the time, Xiao Xian would vanish even if it did not attack. There is no need for any discussion. Hand over your spiritual essence. Xiao Xian merely smiled in the face of the soft tone of the heavenly tomb soul. The countless rays of flame suddenly pierced ruthlessly into the latter's body. After which, the rays of flames were slowly withdrawn. With the movement of the rays of flames, it was possible to see a 10 feet large crystal clear light cluster slowly being extracted from within the body of the heavenly tomb soul. A bright light scattered from within this crystal clear light cluster when a portion of it was exposed. Xiao Yang's hand was extended into the light cluster in front of him. A warm feeling immediately appeared within his soul. Currently, he seemed to be able to hear the greedy cry from within his soul. Is this the spiritual essence of the heavenly tomb soul? Xiao Yang muttered to himself. He had once obtained some of the spiritual essence from the Hall of Soul after destroying the manhole of the Hall of Soul. However, the spiritual essence back then appeared insignificant as compared to this light cluster currently in front of him. The purity of the latter was many times stronger than those spiritual essence within the Hall of Soul. Roar roar! The heavenly tomb soul emitted a wild beast-like roar after this soul essence was forcefully pulled out. It had finally become afraid at this moment. Xiao Xian, release me. I will hand the entire heavenly tomb to you. You can have everything you want. The heavenly tomb soul continued to scream under this fear. However, its scream was completely useless. Xiao Xian did not even bother to look at it. The seals formed by his hands changed rapidly and the rays of flames were enlarged. Finally, half of that crystal clear light cluster was forcefully dragged out from the body of the heavenly tomb soul. Xiao Xian, I am going to fight it out with you. The heavenly tomb soul finally understood that it would completely perish unless it fought all out after sensing the rapidly diminishing energy within its body. Light surged from within its body. Some flames actually began to surge. It was also forced to ignite its own soul. However, the fire seedlings had only just rose from its body when a palm suddenly descended from the sky and ruthlessly slammed onto his face. That great strength directly sent him flying. At the same time, the round crystal clear light cluster also emitted a puff sound and was dragged out from within the spiritual body of the heavenly tomb. Don't. Return it to me. A weak feeling immediately filled the body of the heavenly tomb soul after its spiritual essence was being forcefully extracted. It roared crazily as it charged towards the spiritual essence. Xiao Yan waved his hand in the face of the heavenly tomb soul, which was charging over. A frightening wind forced the latter back, causing it to smash onto the ground. The eyes of those energy bodies in the distance suddenly became red after the heavenly tomb soul landed on the ground. Hatred flickered within those eyes. Finally, they rushed forward from all directions amidst a low and deep roar and crazily attacked the incomparably weak heavenly tomb soul. The heavenly tomb soul was naturally unable to block such a number of attacks after its strength was extracted. Hence, miserable screech soon sounded. Its body was also shattered into dust. A furious soul fragment that was filled with dissatisfaction drifted upwards before gradually scattering with the wind. This heavenly tomb soul had actually ended up with such a fate. The blood-red eyes of those energy bodies on the ground immediately became much clearer after the heavenly tomb soul disappeared. The desire of wanting to devour the other party when they looked at those around them had also diminished greatly. They were startled for a moment before all of them knelt respectfully towards Xiao Yan in the sky. Xiao Yan did not bother about the action of these energy bodies. The 10 feet large crystal clear light cluster was suspended in front of him. His eyes looked towards Xiaoyang below and smiled slightly. "Little fellow, this is all that I can do. Whether you will be able to break through to the DI state soul will completely depend on your luck, ancestor." Xiaoyang looked at Xiao Yan, who was smiling warmly. His nose involuntarily felt a little soul. "Refine and absorb it," Xiao Yan grinned. He flicked his finger and the crystal clearly light cluster in front of him slowly flew downwards. Bright light was continuously emitted from within. It appeared just like a warm sun. Xiaoyang watched the crystal clear light cluster suspended in front of him. The vast and mighty spiritual strength spreading within it was as deep and unfathomable as the ocean. Even his perfect heavenly state soul appeared quite tiny in front of this spiritual strength. The heavenly tomb soul was formed by the soul fragments of countless of experts after their deaths. The spiritual strength it contained could only be described as terrifying. Ancestor, Xiaoyang will definitely revive the glory of the Xiao clan. Xiaoyang inhaled a deep breath of air. He once again nodded respectfully towards Xiao Yan in the sky. After which, he did not say anything more. He took a stride forward and directly walked into the bright light cluster. Immediately, a light flashed and swallowed Xiaoyang's entire body into it. Xiao Yan's body appeared a little pale as he stood in the sky. He looked at the crystal clear light cluster, which appeared just like a sun. A pleased smile was formed on his face. He was extremely satisfied with this descendant. Perhaps Xiaoyang was able to finish what he was unable to do back then. There's still some time. Hopefully, I can wait until you exit your retreat. Xiao Yan muttered. He immediately sat outside of the light cluster. Those calm eyes occasionally swept over the ground. All the energy bodies hurriedly looked away and back off by a great distance under his glance. The spiritual essence of the heavenly tomb soul was a great temptation to them. However, it was clear that no one dared to allow this temptation to take root under the deterrent of Xiao Yan. This place was a seemingly endless sea. Waves churned over the sea. There seemed to be waves of roars that originated from within one soul resounding over this place. Xiaoyang's body floated in the air above the sea. His eyes looked towards the sea below. There was a dense shock within his eyes. The light cluster did not appear large, but he did not expect that there was another world behind it. After Xiaoyang's probing of this sea, he had ended up with a shocking conclusion. This sea was actually completely formed by spiritual strength. It was the first time that Xiaoyang had seen such a vast and mighty frightening spiritual strength. Compared to this spiritual sea, his perfect heavenly state soul appeared to be completely insignificant. Unexpectedly, the heavenly tomb soul is this terrifying. No wonder even Ancestor has to ignite his own soul. Xiaoyang frowned tightly. Only at this moment did he understand why Xiao Yan would have to use this kind of mutual suicide method when attacking the heavenly tomb soul despite his ability. It was actually because even Xiao Yan did not have the confidence to defeat the heavenly tomb soul in his normal state. The heavenly tomb soul had already disappeared. All the spiritual strength is this place does not have an owner. Xiao Yang's throat rolled involuntarily. If rumors of this was to spread, it was likely that all the experts from the continent would rush over in a crazy fashion. As long as one was able to refine the spiritual strength of this place, their soul would definitely reach a relatively terrifying level. It was even possible to reach that legendary DI state soul. This gift that Xiao Xian had bestowed upon him was a really great one. Xiao Yan clenched his fist tightly. His eyes also gradually became determined. Now was not the time to be indecisive. The reason Xiao Xian had paid such a hefty price to provide him with this gift was to allow him to possess some ability to resist the Han clan. Xiao Yang currently did not have much time left. He must not waste it. The flow of time in this place is also different compared to the heavenly tomb. Xiao Yan lifted his head. He looked at this space and a grave expression was formed in his eyes. He discovered that the richness of the spiritual strength in this place had actually altered the flow of time. From a certain point of view, this was a heavenly tomb that had been shrunk by many times. However, the flow of time in this place was likely even slower than that of the heavenly tomb. A heavenly tomb within the heavenly tomb. Xiao Yang let out a long breath. He gradually steadied his emotions. The time in this place was slower than that of the heavenly tomb. This was good for him. Otherwise, he did not know if he was really able to refine all of these vast and mighty spiritual sea within 2 months or so. Xiao Yang sat in the air. His body slowly descended from the sky and landed on the surface of the sea. Spiritual strength swiftly surged out from his brow. After which, a low cry sounded and it turned into a huge illusory figure that was a couple of 1,000 feet in size. The illusory figure covered around Xiao Yang and sat down. Fierce purifying demonic lotus flame began to spread from within the huge spiritual illusory body. It directly dyed the spiritual illusory figure into a flame-covered person. A terrifying heat spread throughout this space. Rumble. The spiritual sea, where Xiao Yang was located, began to whistle after the purifying demonic lotus flame-covered Xiao Yang's spiritual illusory body. A 10,000 feet large swirl was formed below it. Spiritual strength shot out from all directions. It seemed to have suffered a kind of intense pull as it began to turn into many 1,000 feet large spiritual water pillar that continuously shot into the huge spiritual illusory figure. The seemingly real spiritual water pillar heavily smashed onto the spiritual illusory figure. However, waves of sizzling sound was erupted after the spiritual water pillar touched the purifying demonic lotus flame. Dense white fog rose. Finally, it turned into a cloud that covered Xiao Yang's huge spiritual illusory body. The spiritual strength of this place might be considered vast and mighty, but it was a little mottled. After all, the heavenly tomb soul had been formed by absorbing countless of souls belonging to dead experts. However, this was not considered troublesome for Xiao Yang, who possessed the purifying demonic lotus flame. The purification ability of the purifying demonic lotus flame was extremely useful when it came to refinement. Moreover, there was also little yi present within Xiao Yang's body. With just a thought, all of the purifying ability would merge into the spiritual strength within his body and refine it into the purest form. Many huge spiritual water pillars continuously leaped from the surface of the vast and mighty sea like huge pythons. Finally, they poured onto the spiritual illusory figure seated in the sky. It caused the huge illusory figure to gradually emit a fluorescent light after a fog that could cover the sun was erupted. Looking from a distance, it actually appeared like a divine statue standing in this world and was filled with a monstrous pressure. This refinement effect could cause many to be greatly shocked. The spiritual sea had also begun to form many huge waves with the flow of time as it continuously rumbled over this world. While Xiao Yang was devouring and refining the spiritual strength like a whale, the pressure emitted from his soul also gradually became increasingly terrifying. His surging spiritual strength gradually approached the legendary state at a steady pace. 1 month passed. It had been a month within the heavenly tomb since Xiao Yang had entered the cluster of light. Xiao Yang did not show any sign of exiting his retreat during this month. The interior of the light cluster did not emit any strange fluctuation. Everything was exactly the same as 1 month ago. Xiao Yan was quietly sitting outside of the crystal-clear light cluster. Both of his eyes were slightly shut. He appeared like a meditating monk. His body had become much paler as compared to a month ago. Moreover, from his appearance, he had also begun to age. Everyone could tell that he was already about to reach the end of his life. However, he continued to wait persistently. Many energy bodies on the ground watched Xiao Yan's gradually paling body. They felt some grief. The saddest thing was the fall of a hero. Xiao Yan was a matchless individual both when he was alive and when he was dead. However, he was now merely showing the lethargy of an ordinary old man. The eyes under the white eyebrow twitched. They were slowly opened. His elderly face revealed a smile as he looked at the cluster of light in front of him. His body had also become a lot more illusory at this moment. "Little fellow, my time's almost up." The old man's soft mutter resounded over the sky. 1 month within the heavenly tomb was just like a year for Xiaoyang, who was deep within the spiritual sea. The enormous spiritual illusory figure sat on the sea. Rich cloud covered the entire world. The spiritual illusory figure had become increasingly real. At the end, it had basically been turned into a real giant that was a couple of 1,000 feet in size. That manner was as though it was a Xiaoyang that had been magnified by many times. Xiaoyang's breathing was just like thunder. A dense cloud surged into his nostrils like a dragon cloud. His hair was like a 10,000 feet huge waterfall. His clothes fluttered and a kind of terrifying huge wave was stirred on the surface of the sea. A king of the world-like aura seemed to be vaguely emitted from the enormous spiritual body. This aura was as though his was the overlord of souls. Many energy bodies quietly sigh after the final day of the second month within the heavenly tomb had arrived. This was because the elderly figure in the sky had paled until it was almost invisible. Even though this was the case, the old man continued to wait quietly. An obsession seemed to have allowed him, who had reached his end, to remain in this world. It seemed. I am unable to wait for it to happen. The already transparent-like figure in the quiet sky fluctuated slightly. Xiao Yan grinned. His eyes revealed a little regret. "Little fellow, I feel extremely rest assured that the Xiao clan has you. Goodbye." Xiao Yan's eyes were slowly shut. His body also became increasingly pale. Bang! However, the space within the heavenly tomb suddenly trembled intensely while Xiao Yan's body was about to disappear. A ripple that seemed to belong to the overlord of the world swiftly spread. All the energy bodies involuntarily shuddered wherever the fluctuation spread. That pressure could not be resisted. The eyes of Xiao Yan, who was about to vanish, finally revealed a pleased expression after detecting this fluctuation. This descendant Xiaoyang bids ancestor farewell. In front of countless pairs of shocked eyes, a 10,000 feet large figure, which caused one to hold one's breath, swiftly appeared in the sky. Immediately, the figure slowly knelt down towards Xiao Yan. The 10,000 feet figure stood in the sky. All the energy bodies in the heavenly tomb under it shrunk and trembled. The frightening pressure seemed to be about to cause their bodies to explode. Xiao Yan's body completely faded in the sky. Those old eyes were filled with a pleased expression as they vanished. The huge figure continued to kneel in the sky after Xiao Yan's body paled. It was a long time later before that huge body slowly shrunk. Finally, it turned into the size of an ordinary person and quietly stood in the sky. Ancestor? Xiaoyang looked towards the spot where Xiao Yan had vanished and muttered softly. He extended his hand and gently clenched it onto the empty space. An invisible light spot that an ordinary person could not see appeared in his hand after he clenched it. This was Xiao Yan's life imprint. Only those whose soul had stepped into the D state could see such a life imprint. Otherwise, even if one's Do Chi had reached the advanced 9-star Doshan class, one would still be unable to detect this extremely mysterious existence. From a certain point of view, the current Xiao Yan could be basically considered to have completely vanished. That ultimate expert, who had once dominated the Do Chi continent, had completely disappeared from the world. However, this was not the case from Xiao Yang's point of view after he had stepped into the D state. This life imprint might perhaps be able to bestow life to Xiao Yan again. However, even after having his soul advance into the D state, Xiaoyang was unable to do something like this. Perhaps, he would only be able to do it after he had truly advanced into the legendary Do-D class in the future. Regardless of what it was, there was ultimately still a hope. This hope might be distant, but it had not completely disappeared. The invisible life imprint slowly rose in Xiao Yang's palm. After which, it entered his brow and was guarded by his world-like vast and mighty spiritual strength. Perhaps, after a long time, this old man, who had given up everything for the Xiao clan, would be able to once again appear in this world. Xiao Yang gently sighed after keeping the life imprint. He lowered his head and glanced at the heavenly tomb world. Although only 2 months had passed, it had only been less than half a month in the Central Plains. However, Xiao Yang had in reality spent nearly 2 years within the heavenly tomb. He had only managed to completely refine the heavenly tomb soul after spending 2 years. Fortunately, the tomb within the heavenly tomb had a different flow of time. Otherwise, there was no telling just how the outside world would have changed by the time he exit from his retreat in 2 years' time. D-state soul. Xiao Yang gently clenched his hand. His eyes looked into the distance and a strange state of mind rose from within his heart. This feeling was as though the entire heavenly tomb was under his control. Explode! Xiao Yang extended his hand. He suddenly grabbed at the empty space. A stone mountain hundreds of thousands of feet from him exploded into dust without any warning. His spiritual strength had spread over every part of the heavenly tomb with just a mere thought. The area which it could cover was many times greater than what Xiao Yang could achieve in the past. His attack would be able to reach any spot that his soul could reach even if it was tens of thousands of kilometers away. The D-state soul and the perfect heavenly state only had the difference of a single step. However, one was the sky and the other was the earth. There was no way to compare the two. Only after truly experiencing the great strength of the D-state would one understand why many were unable to leap through this universe-like barrier despite trying to do so all their lives. This was because the two. One was a god while the other was a mortal. Perhaps it is time to leave. Xiao Yang's body was suspended in the sky. Xiao Xian had already vanished. There was nothing in this heavenly tomb that he could not bear to part with. However, due to him having devoured the heavenly tomb soul, Xiao Yang could sense that he had an absolute control over this realm. In other words, even after he left the GU realm in the future, he would be able to easily open a spatial tunnel that leads into the heavenly tomb realm from anywhere. Moreover, anyone who wished to tear open a spatial crack and enter the heavenly tomb could only do so with his permission. From a certain point of view, Xiao Yang was just like the owner of this heavenly tomb. He could decide on who could enter and exit it. Xiao Yang felt a little surprise at this accompanying gift. Although the rich energy of this heavenly tomb was of little use to him with his current strength, the difference in the flow of time as compared to the Central Plains was quite attractive. After all, it was able to greatly increase the effectiveness of one's training. This would be an extremely good aid to both him and his faction. I have saved the need to build my own realm. Xiao Yang smiled. He was quite satisfied with this accompanying gift. After all, if he wished to build his own realm, it would not possess such a unique ability. This was because such an ability was something that only an elite Do-D possessed. Xiao Yang suppressed the emotions within his heart. His finger gently drew past the space in front of him. A spatial crack line appeared. His eyes once again swept over this realm before he stepped into the crack. The space wiggled and he disappeared in front of the countless pairs of eyes. A couple of figures were standing in the air above the vast mountains of the GU realm. All of them were frowning as they looked at the water ripple-like slowly fluctuating space. Clan head GU Yuan, what has happened? Lei Ying looked at GU Yuan beside him and asked in surprise. Half a month has passed. If Xiao Yang do not come out, the Han clan might really end up killing his father. Yang Jin by the side also opened his mouth and said. Xiao Yang did not show any signs of coming out ever since he had entered the heavenly tomb. Moreover, the day that they had agreed with the Han clan was about to arrive. The heavenly tomb has already been shut. The spatial tunnel of this place is also completely blocked. I have tried to open a spatial tunnel earlier, but I was repelled by a force. That feeling was as though the current heavenly tomb possessed an owner. Xiao Yan frowned tightly. The words he spoke greatly shocked everyone. There was only one owner of the heavenly tomb. It was the elite Dodi, who had created it. The heavenly tomb had remained without an owner for so many years. Although they had once thought of refining it, all of them had failed without exception. A realm created by a Dodi was far from what they were able to control. Hence, even with the mental fortitude of the two of them, they involuntarily felt some disbelief after hearing Xiao Yan's words. However, they understood that given Xiao Yan's strength, it was naturally impossible that he was mistaken. In that case, Xiaoyang Ge. Zana's pretty face became a little pale after hearing those words from beside Xiao Yan. She was uninterested to know whether the heavenly tomb has an owner. However, Xiaoyang was currently inside. How would Xiaoyang return if Xiao Yan was unable to open a spatial tunnel? I will try again. Xiao Yan's expression was a little gloomy. With his current strength, even if the heavenly tomb really did possess a mysterious owner, it would be impossible for the latter to prevent him from entering it. The seal formed by Xiao Yan's hands changed after his voice sounded. Immediately, the energy around them swiftly turned into a 10,000 feet large giant energy hand in the sky. After which, he grabbed ruthlessly at the fluctuating space. A huge dark shadow covered the surrounding mountain range. The huge energy palm was extremely quick. In a flash, it had appeared outside the space. However, the former was about to smash onto the space when the latter's surging speed suddenly became even more intense. Soon after, a fluctuation swiftly spread from within and heavily collided with the huge palm. It actually forcefully scattered this attack from Xiao Yan. This sudden unexpected change caused everyone to be dull. What kind of strength did Xiao Yan possess? He was one of the strongest individuals in this world. Even someone as strong as Lei Ying would have to use all of his strength in order to resist this attack. Yet, this strike had actually been scattered from a mere fluctuation. This is spiritual fluctuation? How is this possible? The shock continued for an instant before Lei Ying and Yang Jin recovered and exclaimed. Pushing back a palm strike from Xiao Yan by relying only on a spiritual fluctuation. Just what kind of terrifying spiritual strength was it? Something is wrong. Set up formation. The three immortals of the Xiao clan behind Xiao Yan suddenly had grave expressions. They let out a low cry and many experts from the Xiao clan swiftly flew out from the surrounding mountain range. Do Chi surged and swiftly gathered. Sir, may I know who are you? This is the Xiao clan. We are only here to receive someone and do not have any other plans. Xiao Dao cried out loud with a solemn expression after the formation was set up. A spatial tunnel slowly appeared in the fluctuating space after Xiao Dao's voice sounded. Immediately, a figure slowly stepped forward in front of the many anxious eyes belonging to the experts from the Xiao clan. Isn't this lineup a little too great to simply receive someone? That figure stepped out from the spatial tunnel. At a glance, he saw the formation being placed in the sky and the many experts from the Xiao clan waiting solemnly throughout the mountains. His expression quickly became a little interesting. Xiaoyang? Everyone was stunned after seeing the figure stepping out from the spatial tunnel. There was a top expert who had exchanged blows with the clan head earlier. We were just, Xiao Dao sighed in relief. With a wave of his hand, he got everyone to relax slightly. He smiled towards Xiaoyang. Before he could finish speaking, however, he saw a shock suddenly surging onto Xiao Yan's face. Immediately, he ceased speaking. The one who had fought earlier was you. Xiao Yan's eyes stared at Xiaoyang. A great storm rose within his heart. Everyone, including Zun Yang Jin, and Lei Ying, had stunned faces the moment they heard these words. The subsequent reply from Xiaoyang caused these stunned expressions to become even denser. I think so. This video will end here.